I just find that so beautiful. There's actually a whole album of songs that are written from each song is a specific number on the Enneagram. And so we're going to start off all the calls that way. I'm so excited. But tonight we're going to get to hear from two people who I love with my whole heart. The first one is Rebecca Ishum, and she is an Enneagram 1. If you don't know her, you're going to love her. She's an excellent communicator, excellent business leader. She's a platinum in Young Living, and has one of the coolest things about her story is she actually has given birth to quadruplets. She has quadruplets, and they are, I think, 8 years old now. And then she has a baby girl who almost won, or somewhere around there. So anyway, you're going to love her. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself for obvious reasons, and then let Rebecca take it away. And then after that, my dad's going to pop in and talk about a different side of the Enneagram 1.
Hey, thank you so much for letting me pop on here. I got on halfway through that because my baby is screaming in the background and I was trying to get her in bed. So I'm not quite sure what all Bethany told you, but I am an Enneagram 1, a proud Enneagram 1, because I've learned to own my Enneagram in all its different colors within it, and be happy about that. So I love the Enneagram. I love the Enneagram so much because it's a chance to really do a lot of personal development, but it also kind of zeroes in on exactly what you need to focus on. And then I love the Enneagram not just for my business, but it's also been amazing for my marriage, for relating with my kids, for relating with friends. If you're not into the Enneagram yet, I would definitely recommend diving into that because it is amazing. So I heard Bethany tell you that I have quadruplets. We just started homeschooling today. It's big adventure. Some of them have some special needs. I have a baby, a surprise baby, thanks Progestins Plus. Didn't know that could happen. But I have a surprise baby who will turn 1 next month. And so we're just kind of busy over here. And let me tell you what, if ever there was a girl who could make some excuses not to do the business, it would be me. So where there's a will, there's a way. So jump in and give it your best shot. So Bethany asked me to share some strategies for leading as an Enneagram 1. And so I'm going to kind of tell you what an Enneagram 1 is. And then I'm going to give you 3 mental strategies and 3 practical strategies for building your business as an Enneagram 1. So first of all, Enneagram 1s are known as perfectionists, reformers, or idealists, depending upon which website you're looking at. So any of those 3 words describe an Enneagram 1. About 11% of the population is an Enneagram 1. So you have about a 1 in 10 chance of speaking to an Enneagram 1 anytime you talk to someone. And the split between men and women is pretty even. So just so you know, that's how it is percentage-wise. And you know, Enneagram 1s love their percentages. So percentage-wise, that's what it looks like. Okay, so here's what an Enneagram 1 really focuses on. We're really mission-oriented. So history is full of Enneagram 1s who have left really comfortable existences and then decided to pursue a passion project or a mission of some sort. And it makes perfect sense as a Young Living business builder if you're an Enneagram 1, because those play together so well. Because in Young Living business, we have a passion to see people living more healthy lives and changing the legacy picture for their families. So Enneagram 1s and the Young Living business fit together so well. Having really good ethics and strong integrity is also really important to Enneagram 1s. There's no way around it. Integrity is super important to us. We also want to be very useful, very practical, we're very well organized, and we're very responsible. So if you have something that needs to be done, your Enneagram 1s are the ones that you want to reach out to, because if we say we're going to get it done, you better believe it's going to happen. So here is kind of the downside of an Enneagram 1. Some of the biggest issues that Enneagram 1s face is worrying about making a mistake, being self-critical, and being critical of others. So as an Enneagram 1, when I'm approaching my business, I try to keep all of those facets of my Enneagram 1-ness in my head so that I can be aware of what I'm dealing with and understand why I come at things the way I do. So if you are an Enneagram 1 and you're looking for a great oil to start incorporating, white angelica is amazing because it helps with being self-critical, the negativity that comes with that. So white angelica is an oil that has really meant a lot to me. So I would recommend making sure you have a bottle of that on hand if you are an Enneagram 1. Okay, 3 mental strategies, 3 practical strategies. I want to drop these on you real quick. Every Enneagram 1 is going to be a little bit different, but I'm an Enneagram 1 wing 2, and so these are how I approach my business, okay? So half of the issue with being an Enneagram 1 is the mental game that goes with it, and we play a lot of mental games, and I'm sure every Enneagram does this, but for me as a 1, it's all mental all the time. So number 1, realize that done is better than perfect. So when I was growing up, I used to spend hours and hours and hours writing papers. My degree is in English writing. So I spent hours and hours writing these papers, and my dad would come into my room where I was doing homework and say, you could spend 70% of your time and do 95% of the work, or you can spend 100% of your time and do 100% of the work. So is it really do you really see a difference in that 5% spending all this extra time and being like so obsessive about it and wanting it to be so perfect? And newsflash, it's not. So with Enneagram 1s, we obsess about the details. It's got to be perfect. And the truth is, just get it done and move on. It doesn't have to be perfect. And also, nobody likes perfect people anyway. You're not relatable if you're perfect. So stop trying to be perfect, okay? Number 2, analysis paralysis is a huge issue with Enneagram 1s. It's because we're afraid of making a wrong decision. We feel like there's the best decision, and so if we don't really hyperanalyze everything, then we might make the wrong decision, and therefore it won't be perfect. And so that's the brain pattern behind it. That's why we do what we do. So what I do is a pro-con list. Make pros and cons lists. I do this all the time. Sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, pros, cons, list it out, okay? Then you have all of your information in front of you, set a deadline for when you need to make that decision, and then make it and move on. So sometimes with the analysis paralysis, you just have to say, okay, this is my deadline. I'm going to make this decision by Tuesday and keep going because I've got to be productive. Number 3, overanalyzing a situation or a conversation and thinking that something didn't go the way you hoped it would because you messed something up. I'm all about revisiting something and seeing how I can improve it, but obsessing about it for weeks, because I obsess about stuff for weeks and weeks. Oh man, I should have said this. Oh, if I had said that, then I would have done it right. And so therefore it would have turned out perfect. Look at it, review it, move on. We get stuck, Enneagram 1s get stuck in the rut, and you've got to push through it and be really cognizant of where your brain is at so that you can keep going, okay? So those are 3 mental strategies. I'm going to give you 3 practical strategies really quick, all right? So here's 3 things that I do to keep moving forward in my business. I have a really busy life. And so I always keep a checklist handy. I have a checklist in a Microsoft Word doc. I write down, I have it listed out what I need to do, which week of the month I need to do it. These are things that are repetitive that I do every month. And I print it out every month so I have my little bubbles that I can check mark off. If it's not on the list, it doesn't get done. So I add things as I need to, and then every few months I go through and I purge my list. What is not growing my business? What is not supporting my team? What is not an income producing activity? And I try to whittle out stuff because Enneagram 1s are so detail oriented. Sometimes those details are in that 5% that we talked about, and it doesn't truly lend itself in the amount that it needs to be kept on the list. So have a checklist. It's going to look different for everybody. So make your checklist and then be willing to keep adding to and revising it. All right, number 2, Enneagram 1s love details because they want to be sure everyone has everything they need to make the best right decision possible. All right, here's the deal. Nobody likes details like an Enneagram 1 likes details. Like nobody. So if you're teaching a class and you have 10 people in that room and you are going into tons of detail because you want everybody to have all the information so they can make the best, most perfect decision for them, only one person in your class of 10 people will actually care. When I used to teach 101 classes, I used to go clear back to the beginning of essential oil history and talk about how the ancient Romans used essential oils. nobody cares. Like literally nobody cares. I talked people away. I lost members and enrollments because I shared too many details. In an effort to give them the perfect amount of information, I lost them. So here's what people care about. Oils smell good. They work. They want to hear your personal stories about how your kid was jumping on his bed and then he fell off and he sliced his chin open on the floor and you dumped lavender on there and ran him to the emergency room for stitches. And by the time you got him there, he was done bleeding. That's what people care about. That's all people care about, okay? So dial back the details and know that people are gonna figure it out. If I could have all the enrollments back that I lost, I would be a diamond. So I learned from my mistakes, okay? Yeah, someone said you give all the chemical details. Like literally nobody cares. I care, but most people just don't care. They don't need that. All right, number 3. Understand that your one personality is so beautiful, but you can't be everything to everybody. You cannot be the perfect leader to everybody in everything. It does not happen. Okay, so as ones, we strive for that perfection. We strive for it, but it doesn't happen. You can't do that. So I used to think I was pretty competent. I had it all under control. I really didn't need anybody coming in and helping me. I could do things the best myself. But honestly, I was so wrong. And I remember the moment when I finally let Bethany help me out with my business. And it's wonderful because she has an opposite personality that I do, and we complement each other so well because we each have these individual strengths. And this is true for people, leaders under me in my organization and cross-line leaders. And I've learned over the 6.5 years I've built this business that Enneagram 1s are beautiful, but we're extra beautiful when we're in a bouquet of flowers with other Enneagram numbers. So you want to be part of that bouquet. You do not want to be the lone rose stem, okay? So let other people come in, and a part of our Enneagram oneness is that we feel like no one is going to do it up to our standards or do it as well as we do. And all I can say is make like Elsa and let it go. Let other people join you and be part of that and have platform in your organization, because that's how you can love on them and also meet the needs of the 9 other people out of that group of 10 who are not your Enneagram 1. Okay. All right. That's all I have. Last thing I'm going to say is keep a Word doc or a box of all the sweet notes and cards that you get from your downline. When your inner critic pops up and really starts critiquing you, read through that, because that is a wonderful boost to get out of your box or your Word doc of all those sweet little notes. All right. Thanks for letting me talk.
That was amazing.
Really good.
Yeah, holy crap. Okay, I'm going to spotlight you, grab Mac, and we'll head out so you can talk without.
Hey, that was awesome, Rebecca. When Rebecca and I first met, we just I knew right away we were like communicating without, even without words, because we both share these and so much in common. Some of what I say will just kind of reiterate. I'm trying to go from the point of view of how to help you sort of manage or work with your ones in your team. And Rebecca was more focused on what it would be like to build a business as a 1 yourself. So my name is Dave. I think Bethany introduced me before I got here. I'm Bethany's dad. I have been a network marketing professional in the past, and now I love my position of serving Bethany and Sonia and some other leaders and just taking care of things in the background. I totally love that. All right, I'm going to start with 3 stories from my life that will highlight my oneness, okay? First of all, when I was in the 2nd grade, I was in the lunchroom, which was a gymnasium cafeteria thing, and all the kids were taking their straws, and they were blowing them, and they were going around and just blowing them at each other. It was so much fun. And I decided, hey, this looks great. I'm going to do this too. And so I peeled the end off my straw, blew it into the air. Just then the teacher walked into the room and said, Mr. Thompson, if you think it's so funny to blow your straw paper on the ground, you can stay in from recess and clean up the lunchroom. Well, immediately I thought, this is so unfair, But I could have handled that, right? You know, because I just have to clean up the lunchroom. That's no biggie. But all the kids started laughing at me. And that was devastating. I'm 50. How old am I? I can't remember. Sonia, how old am I? I think I'm 53. Anyway, something like that. I remember that situation all these years later. So it was really impactful. And when I do research on Enneagram 1s, they consistently take themselves very seriously and need other people to take them seriously as well. So as you deal with Enneagram 1s in your team, when they say something, they're taking themselves seriously when they have the courage to bring that forward, and they've given it some thought and would like to exchange in a professional, serious way about that. Story number 2. When I was a more mature in age, but maybe not much more mature emotionally as an Enneagram 1, I undertook to clean up the streets of America, and I was very, very emotionally involved when people would throw trash on the ground. It just there was no reason for it. I thought it was ridiculous, and I thought everybody should stop that. And so, being a big guy, I sort of took some liberties that maybe not everyone would take, but ones would all get this and they would feel it. So people, when we were out in public, if somebody would throw something on the ground, you know, where they peel their candy wrapper and throw it on the ground, I would walk over and pick it up and say, "Excuse me, you dropped this." And I would hand it to them. I've gotten out of my car at stoplights and picked up a cigarette butt and handed it back through the window to the person that threw it out. So we attach ourselves to these causes, okay? And we're very fiercely loyal to that. And to us, it seems completely logical at the moment. What we're doing seems like, why wouldn't everybody be doing this? This is not right. I'm going to take a stand against it. All right, that's story number 2. Story number 3, this past weekend, I climbed up on the roof of my RV, my poor, ailing, aging 20-year-old Ruth, and I took maybe a total of 4 hours between Saturday night and Sunday to apply 2 coats of this special liquid rubber roof that will keep our RV from leaking. I'm so happy that it's done. Guess how long I've needed to do that? I've needed to do that since April of 2017. I was up there, I saw the problems. I've been doing these little crazy patchwork to keep the rain from getting in. We've had leaks in the RV. Sonia, 2 or 3 times we've had to empty Sonia's closet and take it out. And when I got this done, I finally had, the space in my head to self-reflect and say, why did it take me so long to do this? Why did I procrastinate? You know what it was? I was stuck on the fact that I didn't know how I was going to do that job and make that roof look brand new. If my only objective had been stop the rain from coming in, I could have done that back in April of 2017. Just order the stuff, climb up there, put it on, the rain is stopped. But every time this would come up in my head, I really need to do this. And I have lived in dread of the rain and procrastinated. I tell you that story just to show you how strong our perfectionism runs in us. Like, we will literally get stuck. We'll literally get stuck if we can't see a way to do that. So failing faster, done is better than perfect. Those are all wonderful things for ones to grow into. And if you have them on your team and you can figure out a way to help them see that and help them move forward in those kind of growth opportunities. Fortunately, one of the things that ones love is personal development, because we are all about doing the right thing. And if we can think of a way that we can learn and grow so that we can do the right thing more often, we are totally turned on by that. And that's what personal development means to us. And so I think for me, the recruitment angle for ones is that this is a personal development plan with a compensation plan attached to it. Network marketing is personal development with a compensation plan, because really, we could all say this, right? We could all say, I have grown so much doing this business that if I had to make a choice between the growth and the money, I would take the growth, And ones will absolutely eat that up. So just engage, all about the personal development. All right, I've got about 10 minutes left. Let's talk about how Enneagram 1s like to work. How do we like to work? Communicating with an Enneagram 1. Take us seriously. Understand that our motivation is to do what is right. That's not so much morally right as our perception of what is the right way to get this done. If you have a husband or a dad or a brother who's an Enneagram 1, he probably has a desire to have the latest, greatest, very best tools for whatever his industry is, because he wants to do it the right way and it needs to be completely done. I'm renovating my house, you guys. It is absolutely a battle for me every single decision that I make. Decision fatigue weighs me down all the time because I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference between something that really matters if I get it completely right, like the countertops and the cabinets, they need to be right. But I'll be working on something that's in a wall that is going to be covered by drywall and never seen by anybody for the rest of time and eternity. And to me, those all have the same value that, I'm making these little micro cuts, and sometimes I just start laughing at myself, but that's the way we are. When you're meeting with an Enneagram 1, abide by the scheduled meeting time and focus on conveying the message clearly. No other Enneagram number knows how to communicate with clarity. That's sort of a joke. But if you think you're being clear in your instructions or in your communication, then say it 2 or 3 different ways. And if there's any other information that you can give that could answer any other questions before they ask, the ones will absolutely love you for that. If you're giving feedback to us, be gentle, because when we put our ideas out there, it's our heart and our soul. It's right out there. We have probably attached a rightness to what we put out there. So you can't just say to us, let's say it's not going to work really well for us if you just say, that's not going to work. You have to say, well, let's think about that. Wow, I can really tell you spent some great energy coming up with that idea. I just wonder if you gave thought to this. That would be a better approach for us. The sandwich method, right? Where you compliment and then correct and then compliment again. Good for us. All right, resolving conflict with an Enneagram 1. This is really huge. So when you run into conflict, and that's inevitably going to happen, here's what you do. Go ahead and come to them and say, hey, here's what I did wrong in this situation, and talk about your feelings, how you're feeling about that. Here's what I did wrong, and I felt like this, or I feel really bad because I feel like there's something between us now, and I wanted to let you know that. Don't expect them to be able to process that on the spot and come back to you with some conclusive conversation, because that's not going to give them time. They need opportunity by themselves to reflect on that and think that through. Why? Because their answer needs to be right. And so they have to make sure that they're not just going to spit out words, because they might have to regret that later. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that way. I shouldn't have used that word. All right. Continuing on, let's talk about some more communication tips. This is from the perspective of an Enneagram 1. If you think I made a good decision, let me know, because sometimes I spend too much time worrying about making the right decision, so much time that I don't choose anything. Hearing that I made a good choice boosts my confidence, and it allows me to make good decisions faster in the future. So don't just assume that because I come off with all this confidence that I am self-assured that the decision that I made was good. Give me that feedback. That was a really good idea. I think it worked out really well. I don't see how it could have been any better. That's some great feedback for me. I don't like conflict, but I do like clarity. I will often choose to have hard conversations so that things feel sorted out. But I'm not trying to be argumentative. You won't know that in the moment, because if you try to perceive what I'm thinking or my motives through what I say or how quickly I respond to you or the perceived force that I come with, you're going to think, oh, he doesn't like me, or he's being argumentative. I'm just looking for clarity. I want clarity, and I'm frankly a little frustrated that you didn't, come to me with clarity in the first place. Being tongue-in-cheek there. All right. I see the highest potential. When I'm honest about it, it's because I love and believe in you. And we love to be all about a cause. And so something like Young Living, helping people with their health, helping people in all these areas, is just so awesome to us. We can totally get behind this, and we can be 100% in. And when we do that, we don't mind offering our suggestions and saying things should be this way, and we could be more effective this way. So don't misunderstand that as being judgmental. In fact, my next point here is I don't mean to come off judgmental. I care about you, and I mean well when I bring something up. And you can assume that with a 1. 1s don't just try. We don't just try to make people hurt people's feelings. All right, I often don't understand why others don't act on the need in front of them. Oh yeah, there it is, right? You see it, I see it, we all see it. Why is nobody doing anything? Okay, and so that's really cool, because 1s in your team, they will fire off when they see that thing and when they know that it needs to be done. So if you can build the value system for a 1, build what's important, the big pieces that really need to be in place. If you can say, there are 3 objectives for this thing that needs to be done, a 1 will take that and will figure out how to meet all those objectives and come off with a really good project. Let's see here. I feel deeply, but I don't express my emotions in many situations because I want to be logical. That's very true. I sometimes suppress my emotions when they get in the way of doing the right thing. Explaining the constant list running in my head can feel harder than just doing it myself. That's very true. Very, very true. All right. Enneagram 1s tend to be motivated and energized by these things: fighting for issues of social justice. And in this case, knowing that that big pharma and big agriculture have done what they've done, when we start to learn about those things, we can get on board with opposing them. We can get on board with trying to provide solutions to the problems that they're creating. Volunteering and helping those less fortunate. 1s love to help out. Finding the right solutions to problems, very important. The right, capital RIGHT, solutions to problems. And only we can define what's right. Keep that in mind. And pursuing their own personal growth. Those are big. Enneagram 1s tend to be stressed by these things, being perceived as rigid or inflexible. Even though we sort of are, we're trying really hard to not come off that way. So I don't know what you're going to do with that, but it's true. Receiving criticism from those they admire. If we look up to you, and you are consistently critical, that's going to be a tough relationship to nurture. Feeling as though they can't make a difference. The 1s will quit your team, they will quit building the moment that they really feel like, you know what, I can't make a difference. I'm not being effective here. That'll be too tough for us. And then overwhelming reminders of corruption in the world kind of goes along with that last point. We feel energized at work. We feel energized at work when we're asked to share how we would do something. Like, hey, what do you think about this? We love that question. How do you think we could solve this? Woohoo! When their boss values their ethical action and fairness, when their peers appreciate and follow their advice, and their direct reports listen and do high quality work. We feel drained when we're surrounded by negativity, pessimism from coworkers. If a boss or an upline ignores our ideas, if our peers perceive us as overly critical or meticulous, we're out, because we know that we're dealing with the details, the devil's in the details, and we're motivated to do that. And if that's not appreciated in the culture of your team, the 1s will leave. Let's see. And then finally, Professional relationships. This will be maybe the most helpful thing I say. Professional relationships. So you, builder, as something other than a one, in a relationship with a one, here's where we may hit obstacles. We, the ones, might give feedback in an overly harsh or blunt way. It'll feel harsh and blunt. But remember, we are only trying to help. Like, we are seriously focused on, if we say something like that, that's stupid, that won't work. What we're saying is, I need clarity. We got to find out, there's something that's missing here, and there's a frustration because we haven't come up with the answer yet. So it comes off as harsh or blunt. Secondly, if we correct or overlook others' suggestions too often. So in the team, if you're on a team call and you've got 6 people and there's a 1 in there, they're trying not to, but they're correcting every third thing that is said. They hear all the wrong stuff. Hear it. And then finally, to put too much pressure on their coworkers to maintain their high standards. So we have these high standards, we have these high expectations, and a way to do things that we believe is right, and we impose those on other people. So when you add in maturity, you add in experience and personal growth, ones can bring all these things, can grow in all these areas so that they handle these propensities, in a great way. Ones can be influential, we can be great leaders. I believe all those things are possible and probable. Okay, that's what I have. Bethany, what do I need to do here?
I'll trade you.
You'll trade me? Okay.
Yep.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks. I'm sure that was awesome. I can't wait to watch the replay and hear your portion, Dad. Thank you so much. All right, you guys. Wow, I love this series already. I'm so pumped about it. I'm so pumped about it. And just as I'm going to go ahead and end the recording.